church. If this is your first day with us, welcome. If you've been here lots of times before, you're welcome as well. This is a wee bit different from our normal service. This is our family service, so we do give you a very warm welcome. Usually at a family service, I wouldn't start with a Bible reading, but I'm going to break with that wee tradition today. I'm going to read with you. I'm going to read from Psalm 23. You might be thinking that's a strange choice for a family service. Let me read it to you. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honour to his name. Even when I walk through the dark valley of death, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You welcome me as a guest, anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Shall we pray together? Loving God, we thank you this morning for who you are, for the fact that you love us, that you want to be with us, that you want to protect us, that you will never leave us, that you won't let us down, that we can rely on you. This morning, give us courage to do just that, to rely completely on you for everything that we need. And we will get all the blessings back from you in return. This morning, be with us, Father, as we are in your presence, as we gather together, as we sing to you, and as we share with one another. We pray these things in your name. Amen. Why don't you turn to each other and say good morning, hello, welcome, or whatever else you might want to do. That's the novelty of having the pastor at the back. Everyone wants to leather to him. Let's sing together, shall we? We'll sing our first song, which is Come, Now is the Time to Worship, and then we'll go straight into our second one. So if you can, stand with us and let's sing together.
Now
service, so it is going to be a wee bit different. It's hopefully going to be a shorter service, although the last time we had a family service I said it was going to be a short service, and then it wasn't a shorter service, it was a longer service. So we'll try and keep it a wee bit shorter today. We're also going to have some different voices today, which is probably good, because mine seems to be going again. I thought I was cured of this bug or whatever's been going around, but as I'm now speaking, I'm going, oh, maybe not. Before we do that, let me share some notices with you for this week. So this is our family service, so we have no Sunday school today. Everybody will be in right throughout the service. And at the end of the service, we'll head through the cafe. You're all warmly invited to come through with us. There is cake, there is wee snowball things, there is shortbread as always, tea and coffee. Do join us for that. Join us for a wee time of fellowship. You're all very welcome to that. What is also through there is some wee gingerbread men made by Maisie. So make sure you grab one of those if you can. Maisie has been really busy because she's had the cookies to make, but she's also brought some eggs with her. And what she wants to do with the eggs is she is going to ask, I think it's a pound, Maisie? Yeah, a pound. Maisie's going to get a pound, and eat for each pound gathered, that's going to go to the Ukraine appeal here as well, which is brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Maisie. Make sure you grab your eggs and your gingerbread men before you go. This week we have, as usual, we have our Monday night group. Yes, good. So our Monday night music group, if you've never heard of that before, where have you been? But get along on Monday night, 7 o'clock. You can do a variety of different music, musical instruments, different songs. There's singers as well, so if you want to get involved in that, then please do. Bob's the man to talk to about it. 7 o'clock on Monday night here at Coastline. Tuesday we have our craft group. So if you want to get along to the craft group, it's 2 o'clock, just as usual. Get yourself along to the craft group. There's all sorts of different things going on. I was hearing earlier about one of the projects that's been helped with the craft group, so it's amazing what they're doing. So get along to the craft group. Even if you've never done any kind of craft before, get along there, you get a nice cup of tea and a blether anyway. Wednesday is our midweek Sunday school. That's on this week, Joe? Yes? So if you go to Pitwing Primary School, if you know someone that goes to Pitwing Primary School and would like to head along to the midweek Sunday school, the guys will go and collect them straight from school and bring them here for an hour after school for some songs, some stories, some crafts, and there'll be something to eat as well. So if you know anybody that could come along with that, then please do let them know about it. Also, please pray for that work, particularly for Joe and for Jodie who are running it. It's been really great. Have you got something to say, Joe?
Jodie's got COVID, so she needs special prayers at the moment.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Please pray for Jodie as well, that she gets over her COVID. It's just, you don't think about it, it's still going around, isn't it? So do pray for her and for that work as well. 6 o'clock on Wednesday will be our Bible study. It will be our prayer meeting, so please do come along to that. It will be lovely to see all of you. All of you are welcome to that at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. We'll have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and we'll have maybe an hour or so of prayer. Please do come along and pray with us. Which brings us to our Friendship Club, which is on Friday. This week we are in Crail. Is that right? Yeah, Crail. I'm needing a couple of soups. If anybody, oh no, I think I've got one soup, have I? Can't remember. Come and speak to me about soups. If you can help with making soup, let me know. So that's Crail this week, 11:30 through till about 1:30-ish. If you know someone that would benefit from a bowl of soup and a blether, tell them to come along. They'd be very, very welcome. Which brings us back to next Sunday. Next Sunday we'll be here at our normal time. Sunday school will be back on next week during the service, so please do remember that. Now, a few advance notices as well. The 6th of February is the Women's Fellowship Centenary. So they're going to be having a special event. The East Newt Quartet will be there. They'll be having an afternoon tea. There's no charge or offering on that event. If you bring your £2 coins for the Compassion Project that you're doing, but all women are welcome along to that. That's the 6th of February at the normal time. The 8th of February, we have our deacons meeting, so please do remember that, folks, 7 o'clock on the 8th. The 15th of February, that is, we're getting quite far in advance now, aren't we? That's our next members meeting. If you would like to come along to that, everybody's welcome to come along and hear about what's happening at Coastline. That's at 7 o'clock on the 15th. And lastly, I think the 19th of February is our next family service. There's going to be a whole bunch of things going on during that family service. It'll also be Daniel and Malin's last Sunday with us. And after that, we're going to have a church lunch. So if you can, firstly, put that date in your diary, make sure you're going to come along to it. Secondly, if you can think about making something for your church lunch, that would be very much appreciated. There is a sheet on the notice board. It wasn't left to me this time, so all the details will be right. Put up what you're able to bring for our kind of lunch. That would be much appreciated. And get as many folk along to that family service as you can. That would be brilliant. I think that might be all of the intimations. No, it isn't. It's not all of the intimations, as ever. As you know, we have been out to Moldova, and before we went, we started to collect a whole lot of donations to go out to Moldova, specifically to work with the Ukrainian refugees. Now, a lot of those donations, or some of those donations should I say, we boxed into suitcases and took with us so that we could bless people while we were there. The rest of the donations are upstairs in the target room. There's a huge amount of those donations. Thank you to the ladies that have boxed and sorted and prepared all of those. So we are now at the stage where we don't need any more donations of coats or jackets or blankets or anything like that. The only thing we are needing is underwear. Now that needs to be new, but underwear for kids or for women would be much appreciated. If you can get your hands on any of that, that would be great. And we'll box that up, and then all of it will head out to work with, or to bless the Ukrainian refugees. That bit right, Mary? Yeah. Great. This time, that's...
Boxes.
Oh, we still need boxes. If you have some boxes, I saw some folk coming in with cardboard boxes this morning. If you have any lying at home, please do bring them, and that will help the ladies as they box everything up and prepare them for their journey. I think that's probably us this time. Good, because my voice is dying. So, I mentioned this morning that we were going to have a number of different people come in to share with us this morning. So, we're going to have a couple of folk who were in the team going out to Moldova, just to share a wee bit. Cafe Church. I knew there would be one. Cafe Church is tonight. We'll have our continuation in our series about Exodus. We'll have a wee video. So we'll be starting sharp at 7 o'clock tonight. So if you can get there as sharp as possible, because the video is about an hour and 20 minutes. So if you could be there tonight at 7 o'clock, that'd be really good. We were thinking about doing a Moldova evening around that. Or on that night, but with so many of us are ill with various things. There's folk not here as well, so we're going to plan another night which will come soon. I've not even managed to sort through all the photos that we took on my phone yet, so there's that still to be done. Sorry? Thank you, Becky, it's all in the notices. So we'll be doing that. Please look out for it. Now, I'd like to invite Richard first to come and share with us.
Morning. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. So I'm usually known as Maisie's dad. That's how everybody kind of knows me. But I'm Richard Croker. I moved up from Edinburgh about 19 years ago to the East Nuke, and I've been worshipping. I worshipped in Amsterdam when I lived there. I've been worshipping along in St Lonans. I worship here with the beautiful Susie, who's sitting at the front, and my amazing Maisie there. I've been brought up in a Christian household very much, so I've had that joy of coming through all that. And just to share our household, we've brought up the children very much that way. Maisie also has an older brother and sister, Zach and Megan. They've left home now, they've left, but they keep returning. But we've very much focused that way. Not only at home do we have a little sister, but we also have a dog called Betty. Maisie's 7 chickens, that's where she's got her eggs from, and we have a tortoise called Lizzie. So I've been worshipping in the East Nuke for a while, but we've been more recently coming to this church, I would say. But we felt a part of this church for 10 and a half years or more. Maisie was born, as some people may know, very prematurely. She was extremely premature. She was born at 25 weeks. And she lived in a little box for about 6 months in the hospital. And very much the prayers of everybody in this church, and in the family, and this neighbourhood and everything, have produced what Maisie is today. She's quite exciting. She's doing wonderfully well. So why did I end up going to Moldova? Well, that's Maisie as well. So, we were sitting here in church, and we were getting an update from Oleg, all about Oleg and Maria, and what all their work was doing over there. And they said there's going to be a trip planned. Don't know when, don't know how it's going to happen, don't know what's going on. There's going to be a trip to Moldova. And Maisie just took my hand, she's sitting next to me, and she took my hand and she goes, "You're going to go, Daddy." So there we go. Maisie made the decision. I then went home, and Susie looked at me and she goes, "You're going to go on this trip, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to go on this mission." And Maisie, even though she thought I was going to be in danger and everything, asked me to go over there to do the work and see and help the children over in Moldova. So that's how I ended up going there, wasn't it? So Moldova, wow, what an experience. You know, I got chosen by Maisie and Susie telling me to go. That was probably God's work. There was another 9 people who got chosen by God to go as well. And I think Dave alluded to it last week. It was quite an eclectic mix. We were all very different. We all had our own gifts. And do you know what? While we were over there, every one of us had our own gifts that we would use and demonstrate the gifts within us. It was a really good mix of people. We all worked really well together. When I didn't want to do something, there was somebody else standing up to do it, or we were being encouraged, or we were helping here. Everybody got involved in their own way with all the gifts. It wasn't quite the trip I expected, you know. I learned so much more about the people I was with, about myself, and about the country, and about the people and everybody that were there. The Ukrainians, it was really unfortunate that, you know, they're coming over, that they're not in a great position. We visited them, and we'll share all these stories with you all over the next few weeks. But we visited them in what looked like just an old government building that maybe had been a hotel, had been offices. I don't know what it was, but we were going in and there was just families living in rooms. We saw refugees. There was some Ukrainians living in a derelict house. But we fed loads of them. As we said, 550 just on the Friday morning. We were putting food parcels together and we were worshipping and blessing them all and praying for them all the way. There was a lot of us talking about our testimonies. There was a lot of people getting involved and praying, and I felt God was very much there with us. That's one of the learnings I got and took away from it. I think we also then gave God to them and gave them that hope, because we were praying to them and we were touching them and maybe hugging them and holding them. Also realised the amount of work that Oleg and Maria are doing over there with their church or organisation. There's a few churches involved. But it was an immense. I come from a business background, so to me it was just a big business. It was immense how much they were doing, the money they must be generating from donations that are in to then go out and support and help people. Helping children, they were running kids clubs, they had young mothers that were had in a house by the church, they had young girls that they were then educating and helping out through life as well. There was just so much going on. And then they're going out into the local area in Moldova itself, to the poverty there, and helping there, delivering food parcels, delivering Bibles, praying for people. Just a massive amount they're doing. And then Ukraine, all this Ukrainian work and refugees coming on top of what their churches do. Just a fantastic amount that they were doing. The story I'll just quickly tell you was lovely, and it touched me a little bit. I think on the second day we were there or something, I was asked if I could build a bed. I'm like, yeah, I can build a bed. And it was a metal frame bed. I thought, this is fine, I can put this together. And I turned up at this house with this bed. Frank was there. Colin, also on the trip, was there to help us. And it just really highlighted, I say the poverty, but it's what it was. This house had no running water, they had a bucket that they'd maybe got from a well or from a tap from somewhere else. They didn't have a toilet, they had a bucket. Do you know, the poor family that lived there, there was 5 boys originally, I think, and then there was the mother. The mother was ill. Her husband unfortunately died, so she was left to bring up the boys. One of the boys, or 2 of the boys, were of age that then they should be away working. And then when that happens in Moldova, and there's no support for the other children, but these boys had gone away to work and weren't sending money back. So there's 3 boys left, one of them maybe 12, 13, going out, trying to earn money for his mother to support the family. So we built this bed, and we cleared it all up, we had a bit of fun. I was kind of known as the sweetie man on the trip, because I always had pockets of sweeties, so I was giving the kids sweeties, they're running around like that. It wasn't always the best idea, but they seemed to enjoy it at the time. But we built this bed, and just the joy that we gave, and Frank reached out and gave the mother a hug, and she just relaxed with us. When we turned up, she was probably quite nervous. There was these big chaps from Scotland walking into her house. But actually, we put her at ease, and the kids were at ease, and we built this bed, and I felt God was really there with us. Frank asked for a hug. What I'll tell you is, I got a hug on the way out anyway. Didn't need to answer. I don't know what it was. You know. But the next day, we saw the boys. They were at the children's club, and they came up to me, and I said, "You sleep well?" They went, "Yeah." Couldn't speak to us, but there was this language there, and they just had a good night's sleep, and I could tell. You know, so that's one of the experiences I'll take away. While I was in Moldova, I was constantly reminded of a poem, and it was a poem that my godmother gave to me when I was about 13. So, young lad, growing up, and you go through all these thoughts in your head or whatever, and my godmother gave me the poem. And it's by, just let me get the name, so it was by Mary Stevenson, Footprints in the Sand. I've seen nods around, so a lot of people know about that. She framed it for me, and I've still got it in my office. It lies, it's not always on the wall, but it lies in the office, and I know where it is, and it's always there. And while I was there, I was reminded very much of this poem. It's almost like a modern day parable, I think. And then, for those of you who don't know, it's Maisie will be telling you, so for those of you who don't know, it's a man who wakes up and he's had a dream, and he's been walking along the beach and he sees 2 sets of footprints, and it's him and it's the Lord that's walking next to him. And when he looks back and reflects, he's only seeing on occasions 1 set of footprints. He's thinking these 1 set of footprints, it's when he's at his lowest, it's when he's troubled, it's when he's despairing, and he's thinking God wasn't with him as he's walking along the beach at that time. And what he didn't realise is when he's then chatting to God later, he's chatting to the Lord and he's going, "What happened here?" And the Lord goes, "That's when I was carrying you." So the Lord is always with you through all these times of trouble. Always there. You've got to have faith that he's there as you go along. I was feeling, reflecting back on Moldova and the Ukrainians who were helping, I felt that's what we gave as a trip. When we went out and we were touching people, hugging people, blessing them or praying for them, I really felt that we were giving them that faith that God was with them and walking them alongside them or carrying them when they needed it. That's how that's what I got from my trip. So hopefully I've shared that in a good way. Didn't finish it as well as I could have done that. I was in flight. But thank you for your time.
Thanks, Richard. We did and will bring back so many stories from our time in Moldova, and stories and sharing them have been really, really important as we went out to Moldova, just explaining why we were there. I'm going to invite Christine to come and share her story with us.
2 weeks ago. I was actually standing in a church in Moldova and with the rest of the team, and then we were asked, perhaps you'd like to give your testimony. Okay, we'll think about doing that. And I was asked if I would sit and tell my story.
Thank you. Well, it's a long story. Well, not that long, but over 60 years. So, when are you finishing? If I was asked what verse was my life verse, the verse that meant much to me, I would take you to Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. And here in the NIV it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." I was brought up in a home which was not a Christian home. I was sent to church, and perhaps my first awareness of Jesus and God was at that Sunday school. And I was asked, like with all the other children in Sunday school, would you like to give your life to Jesus? So I gave my life to Jesus. But because I wasn't brought up in a Christian home, and because I didn't have anybody there to encourage me, it didn't really mean an awful lot. I tried to read the Bible, tried to read the stories, usually get caught at the begat, and more or less gave up. But perhaps I didn't realise then that God had his hand on my life. And it was about 11 years later, when I was in a youth group, and when I said to the lady in Moldova, why I went to the youth group, it was usually that we all went there because we were teenagers and wanted to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And I was there and had been invited along. I didn't want to really, listen to these people that spoke about Jesus, but okay, I would do that. And then what I realised is my father, at the age of 16, had just walked out of our lives. He had decided he didn't want to stay with ourselves anymore. He wanted to go off with another woman, and my memories were of him walking away out of my life. For a girl of 16, that was quite devastating. And at that youth group, somebody came to speak. Now, all the other people at that youth group would say this guy was really not somebody they wanted to listen to. But he had a message, and that message was for me. And that message was that God was a father who would never leave you and would never walk out of your life. So that brought in me a response to God as being my father. So I became a Christian, I was baptised, went along to the Gospel Hall. Frank and I got married. I think I went to university first. Should have learned something from that. And we got married, and we had our first child in Scott. Round about that time, Frank had the opportunity to go to Cyprus to be a teacher with the army. And so we up sticks, left our house, left our family, left job, all the rest of it, and went to Cyprus. And we had more or less reckoned that life was going to be good. We would stay in Cyprus for one tour, another tour. We could go to Hong Kong after that. And we could maybe have 2 tours there. And we could then go maybe to Germany, Gibraltar. Life was going to be good. That was until the first Easter, and that was within about 3 months of being there that Scott had his first epileptic fit. And he was cataract, which is on the helicopter, down to the other end of the island. Probably within a few weeks of that, he had another epileptic fit, and he was then diagnosed as having cerebral palsy. So our dreams, our hopes, our plans had more or less come to nothing. And I don't know if you realise that verse in the Bible, remember that verse in the Bible where the rich man's talking about he's got all his barns and they're full, and he's set for the rest of his life. And God says, you go. But he said it to me in an amazingly gentle way, just like, you've made your plans, but I've got other plans for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So life went on. We had 3 years in Cyprus, and we fought all of that time just to try and stay there, because we believed that the Lord had actually brought us there for a reason. And I can tell you some of those reasons. Yes, he brought us there obviously for job situation, but it also took us so that we'd have a new experience of him. It was a time of charismatic renewal, and I wanted to be more open to God and what he would do in my life, and so that happened there. And then we came back to the UK after 3 years, and amazingly, Frank had a job in the school that he left. Secondment was a possibility. We were given a house, which was absolutely brilliant for the boys, because it was straight through, so there was no problems about that. And it wasn't near the road, because they couldn't deal with traffic, because we'd had another son by that point, and that son was Craig. And at that point, we didn't realise that Craig had Asperger's syndrome, so he was autistic. So we then had 2 boys with special needs. So we, just seeing what I can put in and what I can leave out, because there is a lot. We eventually moved to a church in Kirkintilloch, and there we got support with the boys. But life wasn't easy. With 2 boys with special needs, you were constantly having to try and deal with their situation, stop them knocking lumps out of each other, more or less. And it had an emotional and a physical, and also probably a spiritual sort of reason for it, or a result in our lives. But what happened then was I and Frank both had nervous breakdowns, because we were trying to be strong, but really that strength was in ourselves and not in the Lord at that point in time. And although we'd had experience of the Lord, it was still pretty tough. So when I was just coming into a second period where I was going to have to go on antidepressants, I was really angry at God. I couldn't understand. Where was God? Where had God been when my father left? Where had God been when Scott had his epileptic fit? Where was God with these 2 boys? Where was he when I was on a landing trying to stop 2 boys knocking lumps out of each other, and I had to sit there every night in tears? Where was God? And perhaps we've all had experience. Where is God in my situation? And I was just about to walk away from it. I was angry. And I didn't believe that God was there. And that was the first time I'd ever really doubted whether God was there or not. And it just happened that somebody said, well, look, why don't you come along? African Children's Choir are going to be there, and why don't you come along and listen to them? So went along, and this wee boy, about that high, stood up and he said, we've all lost our parents, we've lost our brothers and our sisters, but we choose whether we will be victims or victors. Now, that was like an arrow. I thunderbolt was in my life, because I knew that God was speaking to me. You can choose whether you are going to be a victim of all these things that have happened in your life, or whether you are going to be a victor in Christ. So instead of the question, why has this happened? Why have you done this to me? It was a matter of what. What do you want to do? Because of all these things have happened in my life. And that was the beginning of a change. Went to Bible college, then Frank went to Bible college after that, and we both realised that our lives were not just random, that our lives were for a reason, and God had a purpose to fulfil in and through our lives. So after that, I worked with CARE, Christian Action Research Education, and then AIM, and then I moved to St Rollops, which is a Church of Scotland in South in Glasgow, and I worked with asylum seekers and refugees, and Frank got involved there, and then Frank into Baptist ministry. So that is my life, probably in a bit of a nutshell. But when I was asked to give that story to the people in Moldova, what I was really trying to say to them is, yes, I understand that you have had difficulties in your life. I can understand, because we've had difficulties in our life, and all you have had difficulties in life. But you can choose, just as we chose, as to whether that was going to be something that destroyed you, whether that was going to be something that made you feel that you were a victim and life wasn't fair, or whether you were able to see, what do you want to do in through my life? And that's why, almost full circle, I feel that we came round to being involved in Moldova because as soon as we went to church the Sunday it was announced, but as soon as it was announced, I knew that was where it was supposed to be, and God had a purpose and a plan for me in there. And I think just to finish off, if I could say what the reason was for us being in Moldova, it was again to see how God was at work. God is at work, and He invites us to join Him in what He's doing. So it was to see that He was working among the asylum seekers and the refugees there, that He was doing an amazing work, and that we could be involved in that, just like all of you have been involved in it. But remember, He has plans and He has purposes, and they are to prosper you and not to harm you, and to give you and the people of Moldova hope and a future. Thank you.
Hopefully from that you can see the importance of stories. A story about a personal story about our lives and how that life, how that journey has led to the point where we were going out to Moldova. And we were able to share those stories with the people in Moldova. And we felt a connection between them as they would listen to that story and identify with some of the difficulties that we had in our lives and the difficulties that they were having presently in their lives. I'm going to hand over and we're going to sing a couple of songs. Got a little...
Hello. Right, this first song I'm going to sing, I Am a Lighthouse. Sunday school guys, hands in the air. Yeah, who knows all the actions? Well, not so much actions, it's noises. Okay. In the middle of this one, we have a storm. Could you go on to the storm? That's it, okay. When the storm is raging, whoosh, whoosh, so let's hear your storm. Ready? After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoosh, whoosh. That's just a sort of light ripple in the water. This is the East Uke, okay? Just think about the East Uke, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the wind is blowing. The waves are crashing. 4 crashes. 4 crashes. Okay. That was actually pretty good, but I'm sure by the end of this song, it'll be even better. Okay. So you guys in the Sunday school, you know this one, so you'll need to keep everybody right, alright? Let's stand. I am a lighthouse, shining bright house, on the waves of a stormy sea. The oil of the Spirit keeps my life burning. Jesus, my Lord, is the light in me. When people see the good things that I do, they'll give praises to God who has sent us Jesus. Send out a life for love and forgiveness, and give them a hand to get in. I am a lighthouse, shining the bright house, out in the waves of the stormy sea. The oil of the Spirit keeps my heart burning. Jesus, my Lord, is the light in me. When people see the good things that I do, they'll give praises to God who has sent us Jesus. Send out a light for love and forgiveness, and give them a hand to get in. When the storm is raging, whoosh, whoosh, and the wind is blowing, whoo, whoo, and the waves are crashing, crash, 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 crash. I am the lighthouse, the shining bright house, out in the waves of the stormy sea. The oil of the Spirit keeps my life burning. Jesus, my Lord, is the light in me. Well done, everybody. That was a fabulous storm.
Give yourselves a round of applause, everybody. Be all over this one.
I
afraid you've got me back. And you know what that means? Volunteers. Right, I have a bag. This is my favourite bag. I don't know if that's weird to have a favourite bag or not. But there we are, that's fine. It's okay, well thank you, Becky. Right, who's volunteering? Who's coming? I knew it, Maisie. Out you come. God bless you. Right, come on out, Austin. Anybody else? No? No? Okay. Oh, Alfie's coming. Anybody else want to come out? No? That's shocking. You can come out, of course you can. Oh, Larry's coming out as well. No more adults and children out, that's okay. Right, I want you to each take out something out the bag, and I want you to try and make a little display up on the table. Is that okay? What have we got? We've got a bear. Who's that, John? That's a moomin. Everyone's moomin. Yeah. What else have you got? No. A wee lion thing there. What have you got, Maisie? Kangaroo with a koala. A frog, yep. A wee duck, fantastic. Oh, a wee sheep, that's dangle sheep. Yep. A wee dinosaur with a Christmas hat. These are the kind of things you need in your life. That's from Bing, who is it? Can't remember. No? Wee Scotty dog there, a nice zebra. Yep. What else have we got, Maisie? Benjamin Bunny. Now some of you will know who Benjamin Bunny is, yeah? Who Benjamin Bunny there? Yeah. Somebody's ears falling off. Oh, somebody's ears falling off. Oh, what is that? A baby kangaroo. That goes in the pouch. Oh, the hungry caterpillar we've got. Yep. Wee koala with its wee baby, yep. Dragon. We've got a dragon there. Anything else? Where's the giraffe? That's a good question, Becky. Is it? Could you count how many teddies are there? Have you got a number? 17, 18. Any advance on 18, 19? No, right. And we're definitely missing one. We've got that one. Yeah, and we're definitely missing one. But we're definitely missing. Definitely missing one. If you could go around the church and have a look and see if anybody's pinched my teddy on me. There's definitely one that's missing.
Were you fished everywhere? No.
My turtle's missing. Just that, no, you finished my turtle. No, it wasn't me. No? No, that's right. Well, we'll have to stop the service until we can find this turtle. Because it's my turtle, so it needs to be found. Make sure Bob's got one. No? Was that something again? No? No? It must be somewhere. But did you all check under your seats? Did you check all around you? Make sure we need to find this turtle.
Is there a small turtle in
Has anybody found the turtle? Nobody's found the turtle. This is not good, guys. We need to make sure that we find the turtle.
Maybe if everyone stands up.
I'm going to have to start checking your handbags. Oh, Alfie's there. There we are. Right, have a seat, guys. Give them a round of applause. That was good, well done. We found the turtle that was lost. This is my turtle, so it's very important that we found it. I don't have any of my teddies left from when I was a wee boy, apart from this one. This is the only one that I have left. He's a wee bit worse for wear, I'll admit that. He's got his stuffing coming out there. Maybe I should take this to the craft room, see if you guys can sort it out. Because he's a bit worse for wear, so he is. But that's okay, we found him. That's the main thing. There he is, I'm sitting there, in amongst us. That's good. He's safe. We're okay. So these are stuffed toys that we have around our house. So this morning I went and collected them all from around the house. So I'm glad that we've managed to find everybody. Everybody's there, everybody's safe, which is good. Because I would have got quite upset because that one's the only one that's mine actually. All the rest are from the boys. So I would have been upset if that one was lost. But that was kind of like, we talked about stories this morning. That was kind of like a story that Jesus told. In fact, he told 3 different stories, all about something being lost. And the first one that he told was about a lost sheep. Now, we only have 1 sheep in our wee collection. He didn't get lost. The sheep in the story that Jesus told had wandered off. Now, he had 99 sheep still there, same as we had all our stuffed toys still here. But we had to keep looking until we found the one that had disappeared from our collection. And it was the same in the story that Jesus told about the sheep that got lost. The shepherd went out to hunt for the sheep. And he didn't just say, well, it was quite difficult to find, I'll just leave it, I've still got 99, that's the main thing. He didn't do that. What he did was, he searched, and he searched, and he searched until he found the sheep that was lost. And Jesus was telling this story to religious leaders at the time, and they were very critical of him. Because Jesus was spending, as we thought about a couple of weeks ago, spending his time with people who weren't really very desirable, weren't really very nice. We thought about Zacchaeus, didn't we? And how he was a tax collector, and he wasn't a nice man, and nobody liked him. But Jesus was still happy to go to his house. Jesus was still happy to talk to him. And that's the kind of thing that he's saying to these religious leaders in this story. 1 sheep had gone missing, but the shepherd continued to look for that sheep. The next story he tells, I'm going to read it to you. It's found in Luke 15. And all of these stories that Jesus told, all of them, are in this Bible. So our Sunday school this year got Bibles. So you guys can go home and read the stories for yourself. And it's in Luke 15. It starts with the one about the lost sheep. The next one is this one that I'll read to you. I'll start in verse 8. Suppose a woman has 10 valuable silver coins and loses one. Won't she shine a lamp and look at every corner of the house and sweep every nook and cranny until she finds it? And when she finds it, she will call her friends and neighbours and rejoice with her, because she has found her coin. In the same way, there is joy in the presence of God's angels when even one repents. The woman turned her house upside down just to find 1 coin, even though she still had plenty of others. It was very important to her. Just like the shepherd in the first story that Jesus tells, was trying to find his lost sheep. And the last story that he tells is one that we all know so well. It's the one of the prodigal son. And in that story there's 2 sons and their dad. And the youngest of the sons goes to his dad and says, can I have what's coming to me? Can I have my inheritance? Can I have all the money that I'm going to get one day anyway? Just give it to me now, and I'll use it, and I'll take it, and I'll live the way that I want to live. That was quite a thing to say to the dad. That was the equivalent of saying to the dad, look, I wish you were dead, just give me your money. That's how nice the guy was. And so the dad accepts his request. He says, yeah, okay, I'll give you half of all that I've got. You go, you live the life that you want to live. And the son did that, packed his bags and headed off. And he spent a long time away, a long distance away. And he just spent his money like water. And soon enough, he'd spent a lot. And all the people that he thought was his friends were no longer his friends because he didn't have money to give them the experiences that they wanted. He didn't have anything left. He didn't have any food, nowhere to live. And so he ended up feeding pigs. And for a guy like that, in that time, that was the lowest of the low, to be feeding pigs. And while he was feeding those pigs, he realised that actually the people who worked for his father, they were much better off. They had clothes, they had a shelter over their head, they had a nice place to live. And so he decided to go and ask his dad to forgive him. Just make me like one of your servants, one of the people who work for you. I don't want to be your son. I would like a job. Just treat me as one of your servants. So he set off on the long journey home. That's what he'd made up his mind. He was going to go and he was going to ask his dad. How would his dad react? He must have been thinking that on the way back. But while he was still a long way off, you can just picture the scene, his dad watching out for him, coming over the hill. His dad seen him, and his dad ran to greet him. Now this was a businessman. This was a wealthy man. He had a lot of possessions. He had all the servants working for him. He would have been quite an upstanding member of society. He wouldn't have been a runner. That wasn't something he was doing. He was a distinguished member of the community. His son had shamed him, yet he still kind of hoisted up his dress there and just took off towards his son. And his son maybe got halfway through the speech of, I just want to be one of your servants. His dad wouldn't hear of it. That was the son that was missing. He'd come home, and his dad was delighted to see him. And it's like that for us. God wants us to be with him, as both Richard and Christine said in the stories that they shared with us. God wants us to be with him. He wants that relationship with us. He wants to be close to us. And he wants us to want him. He wants us to be close to him. And we can do that today. As Christine said, when we take Jesus into our heart, when we believe in him, believe what he has done for us, then we can have that relationship with him. I want to sing a couple of songs just as we close. I haven't managed to do a short service, sorry. And one of the songs is, Lord, I lift your name on high. And when we have Jesus in our heart, that is what we want to do. We want to lift God's name. We want to share what he has done for us. And that was part of what Richard and what Christine did today, was share what God had done for them. And that's part of what we did in Moldova, was share part of what God has done for us. We also were able to take what you had done here to the people in Moldova. We shared that there were people all the way over in a wee place called Coastline that were praying for them, that had raised all these donations to send out to them, and that they were continuing now to send out this team to be with them, to give them new faces, to give them some folk there who were enthusiastic and happy to see them and send greetings. So let's join together and sing our last couple of songs, and then after that we'll go through the cafe and we'll have a good blather together. Let's stand to sing
I am not afraid, no, no.
our story. Indeed, you want to lead it. You want to lead us to the places that you would have us work. And we thank you today for the experience of the team in Moldova. The way they could take something of you to the people in Moldova, to the Ukrainian refugees, to those who were living in poverty. We thank you that they could take your message, that there is hope, hope in you. We thank you that they could take food and give it out in your name. That they could take out clothes and hygiene kits and sweeties and give it all out in your name as a gift from you. Showing that you care for those people in their circumstance. And Father, this morning we thank you that you have been with us here as we have thought about those experiences, as we have thought about the stories gained out in Moldova, and the way indeed that the team and everyone here has been blessed by being involved. We thank you this morning that you have been here in our worship, that you have been a part of it, and that that worship has been to you. And Father, this morning we pray for those who weren't here this morning, but who have loved to have been. Those who are away today, those who are in hospital, those who are sick. We pray that you would be with all of them, and that those who are sick you would heal and bring back to full strength. And those who are away you would bring safely back to us next week. Father, for each of us here, as we leave this place today, we pray that you will be with each one of us as you have promised to be. In your name. Amen. Right, folks, let's head through the cafe. There's tea, there's coffee, there's gingerbread men, and all sorts of other things. So please do get through there.